Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen of the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video. As always, I do have a bonus pair in store. First thing first, we'll quickly go through my trade for the week, which is on Euro, and then progress through the analysis later on. If there is a particular pair you do want to see my analysis to, feel free to skip ahead using the timestamps below. But I had a long position on Euro USD this week. I was patient, waiting for the entry, finally got it on Thursday, I believe, using the 4 hour time frame, and we had a nice pop to the upside. We're starting to lose some of that momentum, and if this does sustain early next week, I probably will look to remove some risk and trail some stops. But so far, we've had a nice push to the upside, and I'm hoping we can reinstate that bullish momentum and look to target those highs. I'm very bullish on Euro USD long term. I'm looking for a push into 1.125, as I've been talking about for the past few weeks now. This is my first level I was looking to buy from, got the signals I'm in the trade. Should we come lower and tag some of these areas, I'll be looking for some re-entries to take it to the upside. As long as we don't do anything crazy, let's say take out this low here, I'm still very bullish on Euro. If I get the Fibonacci out from the low to the high, got the 50, 0.618. So these are the areas I'm looking to buy from, at least as a swing trader, swing point of view. And at the moment, we've had a nice push to the upside. So we'll look to manage that trade early next week. But that was the only trade that I had this week. Quick look at the DXY before we go back to Euro, because of course Euro is the first pair we look at. So yeah, DXY was mixed this week, really. If you go to the weekly chart, yeah, you can see pretty much as a doji, wicks to the upside, wicks to the downside. What we can see though is that momentum is still intact with the dollar in terms of its weakness. We've been falling to the downside pretty heavily over the past few weeks, and that's still very much in play. The market came back up, respected some structure up here, and pushed lower this week. And I'm looking for us to come back into support here at 100.6, and then we'll go from there, because although we have been looking bearish, dollar is trading at some major support here on the left. As we can see last time we were here, massive move to the upside. Dollar could easily go for another bigger pullback before it does want to sell off. I have marked some areas out where we could see that pullback happen if it does go through with that bigger pullback. So potentially a bigger move back into 102.5 or 104. These are some areas where we could pull back into. In fact, I was actually expecting price to get to 102.5 this week, but we just failed at the high and continued. But if dollar does really want to respect the slow and push up, these are a couple areas where I do think we could see market push in towards, and then look for some sells back down again. So I'm looking for us to eventually come down here. It just depends, does dollar want to keep dropping, or does it want to pull back first and then drop? That's kind of my mentality or my thought process with the DXY right now. But I am looking for this low eventually. It's just up to dollar how we make that happen, really. So that's kind of my outlook for the DXY. Still expecting downside, but of course watch out for the lows there, because we do have some major support around the 101, 100.8 area, so watch out for that. Back to Euro USD. So yeah, in terms of my analysis for Euro, it's still bullish, like I said, but we may go through bigger pullbacks. These are the areas I'm looking to long from. So first area, and if you come a lot lower, this is the second area I'm looking to buy from, around the 1.09500 area. And this is the third one just below it. All coming to kind of major daily levels. If I zoom out back to the daily chart, as you can see, retesting that prior high over here, or retesting this area. These are the areas I'm looking to buy from and try and catch that next high low. One over there, second, third, trying to find that fourth. So far I'm in the trade anticipating that this will be the low. Should we come lower, then these are the areas I'll be looking to try and target for some entries. So my analysis for next week is try and find that low and keep an eye on these areas if we do push lower. If we don't, and this is the low, the market is going to push higher, and you kind of want to keep an eye on, let me just remove this for a second, keep an eye on this area here for some intraday setups, because we broke through some structure here on the lower time frames, like the hourly, had some nice rejection at that area. The market's broken through that. Now of course this will be turned support, and we could be seeing some nice intraday opportunities to get into some buys for Euro. If this is going to be the higher low, expect the market to continue with the higher lows on the intraday level as well. Respect structure, aka this high here, which we turn support. Find some entries there and see if you can take it back to the upside yourself. So that's kind of what I'd be after if I'm looking intraday. But on the bigger swing point of view, if you're not entered here, you kind of want price to come back down there again. If it comes lower, I'll be looking at these swing points here for some buys. But you can see I'm very, very bullish on euro, just looking for a good opportunity to take advantage of that. But we'll see how things go. I'll look to manage that trade. If we do come lower, I'll keep an eye on 1.095 and 1.09. But looking for push back to 1.12 for next week. Okay, so over to USD JPY. So we did eventually hit 141 this week, which was this swing low here. This is a major swing low because this is the low that gave us this huge move to the upside back to 162. Now we'll come back to revisit that same area. So I am longer term steering my bias more towards the bearish side of things. I do think this is going to be a top and the market is eventually going to continue a lot lower. So from a swing point of view, I'm looking at some big pullbacks and a lot more downside to tick off a lot of these levels here on the left. But for now, we're testing major support, and now is not the time to be looking to sell, or at least from a swing point of view. Intraday, you might find some quick downside opportunities, but here we're coming back into major support, and I would expect to see at least some type of pullback now for dollar yen, since we've been falling quite well. We've been trading in this bearish descending channel as well, so I do expect us to hold this area, hold that trend line, and have a bit of a relief of this downside that we've seen over the past few weeks. I do think we'll have a bit of relief of that. Now, like I said, I do think the market is longer term going to keep falling, so we might very much come into the high here, fall again, maybe might have a little bit bigger of a pullback and fall, but I'm looking for us to eventually turn around. But again, that'll be some analysis for in probably a few weeks time, or maybe even less. But for now, dollar yen is definitely in some bullish territory, coming back into a major low. You know, the fact is we're kind of descending, moving very correctively into this low. So it's not like we're showing a lot of force right now. So I do expect us to find support. So generally looking for buys here makes the most sense for me around this 141 area. Can wait for some entries down the 4 hour or the hourly, and then I'll be expecting price at least to make a push back to this trend line here, to at least make that third test. And then we can go from there. Whether price might sell off again, that could be a nice sell, although I'm not too sure you get the buy and the sell within 1 week. But you know, that could be a nice place to sell in the future as well. And like I said, we might break out as well. But for now, this is a nice place for a buy. There's a lot of confluence here, and we are slowing down as well. So if you can see momentum shift from a bullish side of things, could be some nice entries there. And I'll be looking at 145-ish for a push for dollar yen next week. Okay, so over to dollar CAD. So dollar CAD is still trading at a really nice level and still just about holding on to it. As I pointed out many times, strong resistance, strong support here. I do expect us to see some downside, and so far we're doing somewhat of a good job at respecting this area. Really nice retest, I think early this week. Market hasn't moved too well. It's not like we've tested it and just kind of dropped. We've kind of been a little bit stagnant, so maybe price might have a deeper test of this area early next week, which could give some nice entries to get into a trade there and take some shorts. Definitely with some intraday opportunities there as well. But the key thing is that we should be staying below this 1.36 area, 1.361 area, and shouldn't be breaking above. If we are, then we might be seeing price, give us something like that, which could still be a really nice buy opportunity. But for now, I'm still pretty bearish with dollar CAD. Really nice break to the downside. I'm essentially looking at all of this momentum. I'm expecting this to be a correction of that momentum for the market to keep falling. So the idea is that the price shouldn't really be breaking above this, and if it does, of course, it could be fake outs and some wicks, but I don't want to be seeing price break above that. If that does happen, then I probably might rethink my bias there with dollar CAD. But for now, really being moved to the downside, testing a massive level here. If the market can remain underneath it, or at least remain respecting it, I do think this is a great place to be looking to short, and stop loss above the high, and you're looking for a swing back to the low. Risk reward looks pretty good there as well. I do think dollar CAD can fall a lot further, but for now we'll just be looking at the 1.344 area. So that is the bias, that's the analysis going into next week for dollar CAD. Okay, so next up we got euro pound. So euro pound, I'm still looking for more downside. I do expect us to come back and retest this low pretty soon. I'm actually looking for around the 0.83 area based on higher time frame analysis, especially the monthly chart. I do think there's a good chance we're probably going to come and test this monthly support here. So I do still see the market falling a little bit further, which on the lower time frames gives us some nice swing opportunities to take advantage of. At the moment, it does look like price is respecting this first area 0.845 pretty well. I am looking for price to continue lower. I'm looking at this as a big correction of this bearish move, and it does look like price is holding that area pretty well. If you're looking for some entries, maybe the ship is sailed. If you're looking for some entries, you probably want price to push up one more time and respect it again, because looking to enter down there, stop loss above the high, risk rewards a little bit impaired there because your first target isn't too far away. So maybe not the best opportunity, but if we do push up again back into the high, that could allow you to get a better entry and maximize that risk to reward opportunity. Same thing if we were to push a little bit higher up. I've been talking about the 0.85 area as a really nice place for a short as well. Again, looking for the similar move. It just depends if price will have a bigger pullback or not. Really sturdy level in the market. Support, 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 resistance. Expecting it to act as resistance again. So it's just up to price if it will have that bigger pullback, then sell off, or it might just sell off from right now. And it might not even give us that retest there. It might just keep falling. But I'm looking at this as a really nice pullback because it's been so corrective. So it's not like we've seen any signs that the market is likely to turn around. This is a characteristic of a market that is pulling back, likely to head low. Of course, nothing's 100%, but we have to work with probabilities as a trader, and probabilities is varying to the downside there. So I'm liking euro pound there, expecting a move back to 0.838. And I'm expecting a lot lower, but for now we'll just talk about 0.838 since it's a big level, and price can definitely bounce from there. So that'll be the plan going to next week for euro pound. Okay, so over to Aussie dollar this week. So we did see a bit of a move to the upside. I was talking about this area here at 0.665. Lovely resistance there, has acted as support, really nice rejection and a push to the upside. Haven't really done anything crazy, but it's a nice move. I'm looking for price to come back to 0.678, 679. This is the area I'm looking for price to get back into. It hasn't quite got that area yet. I think if you're looking for some sells or some bigger sells anyway, that's kind of the area I'll be looking for price to come into before looking for that sell. If you're looking for buys, I feel like the ship has kind of already sailed. Unless price was to come all the way back down there again, then we can speak about the buys. In fact, that would be a nice opportunity, but it's just kind of up to price. We may just keep pushing up this week and then sell off, or maybe push down and then push back up again. Of course, that's up to price. I wouldn't really get involved where it is now. I know it's testing some areas here on the left, some lower time frame areas of supply, but for me, these are the big areas of significance. So that's where I'm looking to get involved from a 4-hour point of view anyway. And if I'm looking to sell, it would be from up there. I'm still pretty bullish on Aussie dollar. But if I'm looking to buy, it has to come lower, and if I'm looking to sell, it has to come a lot higher. But it has been a very choppy kind of few months, couple of years to an extent here, with Aussie dollar. Really, it's been very choppy. So looking to buy low and sell high is never such a bad bet in these conditions, because price tends to respect resistance pretty well, tends to respect support pretty well, and it keeps reversing on itself until eventually you finally get that breakout. But for now, if I'm looking to buy, I need price to come a lot lower, so back to 0.664, 665. And if you're looking to sell, 0.68 looks like a nice area as well. And of course, just looking to play that range until we finally get the breakout, I think will be the most sensible plan there for Aussie dollar. So that's my analysis going into next week for AU. Okay, so over to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD, I'm really bearish on. Price has really struggled to break through this high here, and has kept doing that this week. We had a couple more tests, and it's still holding pretty stern. So I do think NZD CAD, the bigger move is likely to the downside. I've talked about some of these areas where I do think price can come into. Retest that low, retest the high there, maybe even retest the low down there as well. So these are some longer term targets you can be looking at. But the big thing for me is NZD CAD is really failing to break the high. So I'm expecting price to sell off. On the 4-hour, I was talking about the retest of this area here this week, which kind of didn't really do its job. Price kind of broke above it, so it didn't really act as a level to short from well. But the key thing is that we haven't taken out this high, so the market is still respecting the prior swing high, which gave us the swing low down there. Of course, the high before was over there, so high, low, lower high, lower low. This to me looks like the lower high is printed in. Key thing is we're still holding onto that daily level there. So if you're looking to short, this is kind of the area to do it from. Find an entry around that area, stop loss above the high, and again expecting price to continue lower. And targets we can be looking at a push back down to this area. I think that's pretty reasonable, and I do think we can go a lot lower if you're looking for a bit more of a swing opportunity. But NZD CAD, yeah, to me the key thing is that we've had a few fake outs above this high now, and price has really failed to break through and continue. It does look like price is just form resistance and is likely going to have that bigger sell back down again. So pretty bearish with NZD CAD. I do see a lot of downside for this one. We're respecting the high pretty well. If you're looking for some entries, you do want to see price come back up again because we're kind of selling off pretty hard there. So do want price to be back at resistance. I can put a nice stop loss above the high, and then we can start looking at some of those targets there for partials or to trade your stop loss. That's up to you. But yeah, I'm expecting more downside from around 0.84 back to around 0.825, 0.82 next week for NZD CAD. Okay, so next up we've got pound NZD. So I was looking for some sells this week from this high, but didn't really sit up well. There's a lot of wicks, but the clarity wasn't there on the lower time frames. Candlesticks weren't closing well, and there's a lot of consolidation really. And after Friday's candle there, it does look like price is breaking above that. So I'm anticipating some more upside early next week, back to the next high at 2.145. And if things look good here, then I'll be looking for some downside and some selling opportunities. But drop to the full hour, you can see price is not looking too good. I'm anticipating a continuation higher though, since we're maintaining the higher lows there on the lower time frames. So I do think price will push higher. And then once we get back to this swing point here, which is a pretty critical one, you can see after we had this sell off here, market create that lower high, lower low. So now we're coming back into that previous swing high. So if the market can hold that, to me the market remains bearish, and I would be anticipating a swing back into the swing low, to the prior swing low, which will be down at this area here. So for me, which I am bearish on pound NZD, I'm looking for sells. I do want price to come a lot higher before I do anything with that in terms of looking for entries. If you're bullish and you're looking for buys, then I would kind of stay away from the price action here. I want price to move a lot lower into this area, and then I'll be looking for my entries, because we do have some major support down here. If I go back to the daily time frame, I've marked this area on really steady support on, well, steady resistance, now turn support on the daily. So I do feel like this is a nice place for a buy if you're interested in it, but I would stay away from price action in this area, because it's just basically consolidation. So sells, I want price to push higher, then we'll look for a short. Looking for a buy, you're looking for price to push lower and then take some buys down here. But that will be the plan next week for pound NZD. Okay, so moving on to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, it does look like it's cracking through 105, which is a pretty significant level to me. Price has held the support really well, once, twice, a third time, fourth of that wick there. So us breaking through 105 tells me that there's a good chance that price is now going to move back down to 101, which is this area down here. So I'm anticipating a lot more downside now for CAD Yen. And if we can push down a little bit further, 105 will become a nice level of resistance where we could be looking for some entries to continue this momentum to the downside. We are a little bit corrective, but if the market does have a nice fall on Monday and creates a bit of distance between price and that level, I will look for some entries like this, looking for that next lower high, stops above the high, and a continuation back down to 101. I am pretty bearish on these yen pairs. I do think there's a lot of downside in store. I do want to see some pullbacks though, because we've had a pretty big fall so far. So if the market can continue that, give me a nice pullback, I will look for some entries. A pullback now is just a bit too shallow. It could play out, but I need price to give me some distance in the pullback. So I know we've had a bit of a relief first, then I can find my highs to short. But after this strong weekly candle closure, strong daily candle closure, I do think CAD Yen is going to end up back at 101, 100. pretty soonish if things remain the same. So CAD Gen shorts look good around 104.5, 105. Looking for some entries off the back of that and some targets around 101 for next week. Okay, so over to pound USD. So pound USD, I do really like this one. We've had a nice bounce off 1.305, which is the level I said buys look good from last week. I chose to trade euro, but again, very similar pairs, euro pound. It was a similar opportunity. I chose euro instead, but pound did give some nice opportunities on the retest of the structure and had a really nice push to the upside there. So I am looking for a bit more upside for pound USD and then potentially a big sell. We have come back into some really big levels of support and resistance, particularly this area here on the weekly, monthly level here. So I do feel like once pound is here, we might see a bit of profit taking and a bit of a push down. Not necessarily that the price is going to reverse, but I do think we can at least retrace some of this bullish momentum and have a bigger retracement from a weekly, monthly perspective. So I do think more downside is likely, but first, after this reaction, I'm anticipating price to at least get back to the high, and then once we're there, we can speak on some sells and some reversal opportunities, some counter trend opportunities, depending on how things look. But at the moment, right now, it's a similar opportunity to euro coming back to retest this area here. This could end up being some nice intraday opportunities for a buy to take pound USD back to the upside. I'd also say keep an eye on this level here. Should we come back for a double bottom, that could be a nice opportunity, on the 4 hour, on the hourly, for a nice swing back to the high. But I am looking for price to push back into 1.325. And if you're looking to sell, this is kind of where you want to position yourself back at the high and then looking for those reversals. But for now, at least looking for a push back to that same high, maybe 1.33, and then we can discuss that probably the week after. But for now, that's what I'm looking at for pound USD going into next week. Okay, so now onto pound CAD. So pound CAD. So pound CAD, we're testing some major resistance up at this high. As we can all see, price is really struggling to break through this, and for good reason. It's a pretty big level on the monthly chart, which we've gone over a few times now. So, all well aware that this is a sturdy level, which has rejected price on numerous occasions and could potentially reject price there again. So there is that room to the downside. There is that significant price that could push price and see some big sells. If I'm looking to sell pound CAD, I'll take the more conservative opportunity, which would not be looking to short the high there, but looking for price to break the low here and then looking for something like this. I still do like to play the trend here with pound CAD. So if the market does push to the downside, I will be looking for some buys on these areas. We've been pretty consistent with all of these higher lows here. I'm looking to see if I can find another one. It doesn't necessarily have to push all the way back to the high. It could push halfway or retest this area and roll against me. But it could be an opportunity where I can get my stops to break even or trail stops, bank some gains, and if I'm lucky, price may continue the trend and I could be onto a big winner. But this is kind of a sensible place for a buy if you're looking to play the trend back to retest this level here at 1.76. If you're looking for some sells, you do have the opportunity at the high here. That's a pretty nice rejection there on the 4 hour, stops above the high, targets down there and targets back at 1.76. They all make a lot of sense. It's just this is a very aggressive trade. You're trying to call the reversal here, which is not really an opportunity which I look to take within my trading. But if the market is going to hold this level, then it's going to hold the level. So the reward is probably worth the risk. You stop just above the high, and if you're right, you could call a really big move here. So it's probably worth it from that point of view. But in terms of my plan, I'm always looking to flow with the trend, flow with momentum, rather than go against it. But I am not ignorant enough to see that there are some sell opportunities there, and I will keep an eye out for the buys should we get there as well. I spoke about this opportunity last week too, but we didn't quite break the low. So if you do see a big sell-off and get to this area, I will be interested in some buys and then seeing how far I can take it with trading my stop loss. So that's the opportunity, that's the analysis going into next week for pound CAD. Okay, so next up we've got pound yen. So pound yen, another yen pair. I'm very, very bearish on this one. I do think there's a good chance we're coming back to this low here around 180. So my plan is to look for some good selling opportunities on the way down, but I've been looking for a bigger pullback. Hasn't really happened yet. The market's had some really nice lower time frame breaking retests here, which have been some good opportunities intraday, but I'm looking for that bigger relief in the market that lower high and then the short. I have been talking a lot about this low here, and I still will be, because that's pretty much the best area I can see right now for a short in the 4 hour, and then hopefully some sales back down to 180. The risk reward looks really promising here with pound yen. A lot of pips to catch here. This is looking like a 1 to 5, but of course, depending on the entry, might be a little bit more, a little bit less, but roughly we're still looking at a pretty big swing here. I just want to see price find support and push up again. We might push up as we come into this low here at 183. So there's that opportunity there, but I'm looking for a big sell back into pound yen, back into 180, and probably a lot further as well, because it does look like the yen pairs are slowly reversing longer term. So yeah, pound yen very bearish. You can see that bigger pullback. This is what I'm looking at. If you're looking intraday and you just want to keep up with these intraday low lows and low highs, then keep up with them as we break structure. Keep an eye on that, because the market might just continue in that order. If it does have that bigger pullback, great. I'll look to find some entries around 189, 190, and then see if I can short it back down to 180. And that will be the plan next week for pound yen. Okay, so on to gold. So very bullish this week, really big breakout. As I've been saying, I've been looking for the break and retest, but this breakout is almost too good, almost too big, because I'm not too sure if we will see that break and retest happen. Price might have a minor pullback, but it may not be all the way to retest that level. And gold being gold might just kind of accelerate to the upside there. But as someone who has their rules, and I know where I'm looking to take my buys, know I'm looking to take my sells. If I'm looking to get involved, it would have to be at this area, or not at all really. Very bullish on gold. Higher time frames are bullish. We just had a solid weekly candle closure to the upside there, so things are looking really strong for gold. I've marked out 2600 as the next big psychological level for gold, which is not too far away now. That could be where gold is going to be attracted towards. Again, these are all-time highs, so we can't look to the left and try and spot structure to work with, because there isn't any to look at. So 2600, next big psychological level, that could be where the market is drawn towards. But really, in terms of opportunity, it's very simple. See if we get the break and retest, or nothing really. That's kind of how we're looking to operate with gold. Intraday, there might be some opportunities. Probably want to keep focusing with the buys here, because that's where momentum lies. But yeah, that will be my opportunity I'm looking at for gold next week. Okay, so now on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we did have a nice bounce off this low here. Nice rejection on the lower time frames, and price did push on pretty nicely. So again, these are the areas which you want to get involved in. When price is in the middle, like it is now, you don't really want to get involved in. But when we're down low and up high, you've got edge, you've got something to work with there. In here, of course, you can find opportunities, but they won't be as good as when we're at the extremes or at the highs, when the market is ranging or moving in the channel. So now we have seen a push to the upside. Now it's up to Bitcoin whether we want to continue that momentum back to the high, or price is going to reverse to the downside. I must say though, because our last bullish move, we didn't quite get back to the high either. I don't think we will. I think that price is probably going to find a lot of struggle around this area, around the middle of the channel. I do think we probably will eventually roll back over to the downside. Now that's not an opportunity which I would look to trade or look to take advantage of. If I'm going to get involved with Bitcoin, like I said, it's at the low, at the high. Or if we do break out, then I will be looking at retest underneath that support level for some shorts there. So with Bitcoin, now that we have seen the move, if you're looking to get back involved, you kind of want price to push back down there again, or continue that momentum to the upside, and then look for your sells again up around 68k. Yeah, I wouldn't really be looking to do anything in that middle, because it's just so choppy, so indecisive, and I would kind of stay away. But I do feel like with Bitcoin putting these lower highs in, I feel like eventually will break lower, so I'll be focusing on some shorts up at the high, or waiting for price to get the break and retest of around 54k, and then seeing how far we can take it. But that's the analysis going into next week for Bitcoin. Okay, so last but not least, we've got a bonus pair for next week, which is pound Aussie to the upside. Now, price has been slowly pushing high. We've broken through some major resistance not long ago, and I'm expecting price to hold that support for a bigger push back to 1.99. Long term, I am looking for pound Aussie to find resistance and really reverse. There's a lot of space for us to reverse into. We've got these major lower highs here. I'm expecting another one as well, but I can definitely see that price is still respecting this bullish structure. And the most important thing is we're still respecting these swing highs and these swing lows. So I am looking for a price to make that next bullish move back to the high and then I can start talking about some shorts again after we get back to that area and we can see how price is rejecting. But the key thing is that we're still maintaining these higher lows and we're still breaking structure to the upside. So now that we're coming back for a retest, well, we've already had a bit of a retest, but we haven't really seen much upside. So if we can roll over, see another rejection early next week, this could be a promising opportunity for some entries. Stop loss below the low, your targets back at that high there. And if we're lucky, maybe push all the way back to 1.99 as well. I would say, this would be the reasonable target, but there's definitely a good possibility that we could take the trade back to 1.99 as well. So it could be a situation where you bank most of your profit at the high and leave some to run to see if you can push it back to 1.199 as well. But pound Aussie coming back to retest some key structure there as well. Simple break and retest opportunity. And if it does hold, I do expect to see a lot more upside there for pound Aussie. So yeah, guys, that does bring us to the end of the analysis. Keep an eye out for pound Aussie as well. Really nice opportunity, which will be in the watch list next week. But if you have enjoyed the analysis, guys, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you comment down below any pairs you're looking to trade for next week. I'm interested to find out. And of course, guys, make sure you do hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads for next week. Join the Elevate Traders Discord channel. That will be linked in the description. Make sure you join that. There will be some discount opportunities when we do launch, so don't miss out on that. But guys, have a great day, great weekend. I'll catch you all in the new week.